What's up, guys? Thanks for joining us here today. It is hot here in Texas. We're out getting a little bow practice in, taking some shots from the ground, making sure the bow's in tune, arrows are flying straight. Now we're up the tree, fixing to take some practice shots. And I got to thinking, you should always, of course, bring your gear out, make sure everything's operating properly, bring all your stuff up the tree. Make sure you go through that routine, make sure your system is in place and you got a good system. But I got to thinking, taking that next step, using different types of tools for scouting, whitetail hunting, for example, Microsoft Excel. Now, it's not as intimidating as you think, so stick with us. I'm gonna take you inside, show you how you can change the way you hunt. So we'll take a break, we'll go inside, I'll run you through some of those details, we'll come back out and finish up some shooting because it's hot and I need a break. So I'll see you in there.
What's going on, hunting family? Thanks for stepping into the office here, checking out the video. Let's get right to it. So we are looking at how to hunt deer using Excel. Excel is not as intimidating as you think it is. It can become a huge tool for scouting, planning your hunt, gathering historical information, and it really changes the game as far as your historical knowledge and what you can do with that going forward. Now, the most powerful thing when you're hunting, planning a hunt, doing anything like that, is historical knowledge. That's it. I mean, you can. I just hunt for a sign. That's great. Of course, so do I. I want to see the scat, the tracks, the scrapes, and the rubs. But it's good to know where you expect to see that. Where have you seen that? When you're scouting in the woods, boots on the ground, you're looking for a historical sign. You're looking for those old rubs, right? You're looking for old rubs from 3 years ago, last year, current rubs. That's what this does for you. It gives you a reference point and the ability to correlate certain conditions for certain days, for certain deer at certain times of the year, and it can be all in front of you in a matter of seconds. Because let me tell you that deer from year to year will do plus or minus, give or take 3 to 5 days per the date. They will be in the same area doing the same activities on the same routes. You've seen it before if you think about it. And if you can record, review, and understand that between October 15th and October 18th last year, that deer was active in daylight. He was cruising, he was coming through, he wasn't there during the summer, and now he showed up, and he showed up for 10 days, and he was gone. And there was a cold front. Now, if I know I can target sometime within that window, I'm waiting on a cool front, some kind of change of conditions that will spark movement, I know I need to be in that area. When you have that in front of you, that's just huge that you can reference to, because they will do the same thing year to year. They will be in the same areas, they will cruise the same areas, they will feed in the same areas for the most part. And once you have that in front of you, you can take advantage of it. So what does that allow you to do? You can identify those annual shifts, the whitetail shifts from summer to fall to winter to rut to postseason. See what those deer come in and out. You'll find deer that come onto your property at certain times of year, certain times that for 2 weeks, and then they're gone, and they'll do it 2 years in a row, and you'll be like, okay, now I get it. You can identify those cruising areas. Once you have this in front of you, like, I didn't really realize that he was coming through cruising for does, and now, but obviously it's right in front of me, and I can see that's what he's doing. You can identify those home ranges of deer. You can understand if he's a year-round buck or if he's just a rut buck on your property. Learn those deer personalities. Deer have personalities. Some deer like to move in daylight more than others. There's a deer on a property that I hunt. I call him the celebrity because he's just always out in the open. He's just around. At mature, he's 4 years old, and might be 5. He's going to be 5 this year. So, but you just don't see that very often. But that's a killable buck, and I've seen him around, and I didn't realize that how often he was in daylight in a specific area, and he's just goofy. I don't know, he's just got a personality. And once you develop this history, you can filter this out, identify these correlations in these time periods, and plan your hunt. And also because it's just freaking awesome to sit here and study these deer and learn more. You can see all this stuff come to fruition right in front of you when you have the information. So to me, that's the most powerful thing. It's been huge since I started doing it. So I sit down every year, I put it together, I go back through all my cameras, and most of your cameras are going to have this information on it. And all you have to do is put it down in front of you in an organized fashion, which Excel makes it easy to do. 5 seconds, boom, boom, you're filtering dates. I want to see when this buck moved in daylight. I want to see what location he was in. Was it post cold front? Was it after a rain? Does he only come in when the wind's out of the south? Does he only come in when the wind's out of the north? What time of year did he disappear? I didn't get a picture of him from November 17th to December 20th. He was gone. All of that you can tell from right here. All right, so how do we do it? 3 steps. Let's go through it. You got to create your list. So once you choose your categories up here, let's burn through those real quick. So for me, I choose the dates. For light, I choose day, evening, morning, and night, and I use military time. And you can't just say day and night because I like to do morning and evening because when I filter it, I can get more detailed. Location, whatever you want it to look like. Weather, I like to have 2 columns because I can get a broad description. I can choose cold, less than 50 degrees, which seems to be just a prime trigger point. Post front, pre front, which means probably get some rain. Still conditions, warm conditions, cool, cold. And I also like to have the ability to select, was it closer to freezing? Was it 30 degrees? Was it 45 degrees? Anything. I like to have all that option, so I'll put all those in the list. What was the wind doing? Was the wind blowing out of the north? I mean, you got to know what the wind is doing because he's only going to be there under certain types of conditions, give or take a few sort of outliers, right? Moon is always a good indicator. Deer approach. Now, a lot of people aren't going to think to put this into their information. Now, let me tell you why. So I set my cameras up to get a picture about 20 feet. I want to capture 2 to 3 frames of that deer entering the frame and leaving. Now, what does that do on his approach? It tells me where he came from. And if I can get a pattern of pictures that he's entering the frame in the same way, I know where he came from. And if he's only a nighttime buck, and he's coming in at 8:45 at night, it gives me a starting point. It gives me a reference point that I can look at the maps, I can look at the terrain, he's coming from the east. All I got to do is look dead east. There's got to be a trail right there somewhere that gives me a starting point to scout. I can check out the maps, pick out some timber, pick out some diversity, some marsh, some spot in the forest. I said, he might be coming from here. I bet he's bedded over here. That's exactly what I did with that HD buck last year. And he was I only had like 2 pictures of him in the daylight, tons of them at night. But he was always approaching from the east, it seemed like. So I started scouting, moved a camera. Next thing you know, boom, 3 days. I got afternoon pictures of him in daylight at 4 p.m. Because he's on his feet somewhere. They're on their feet somewhere 3 to 4 times a day. So that's why I like to put the approach. And then I can see where he's going. That gives me a pattern on him. Maybe he's headed out to feed, or maybe he was cruising. Course sex, you want the buck and doe, buck. I just put it all in there. And of course, name. I don't really care to name deer, but in this fashion, of course you would want to name it. That way you can filter it. The whole point is to be able to filter. So if I wanted to see everything that HD did last year, take that select all, then I'm going to select him. And here's my key sightings of him for last year. And last, images. You can embed images onto this sheet. Now if I open it up right here, you're not going to be able to see it because I already recorded this once and this thing only records 1 window at a time. But double click it and it'll pop up here and say open, and there you go. Open. Actually, that was the celebrity buck. So, but let's see this one down here, HD buck. We'll double click this one and I'll throw the picture up so you can see him. Huge public land button. All right, so now you know why. Now we know how. So now we got to create your list, right? Once you got your categories, so we'll just do the wind. I need to create. See, all of these cells have this arrow. This is all you got to do. I want to build a list in this cell. You can see it has no arrow. I'm going to click this. And you got to build your list. You got to type it out. What you want to be able to select from. Select your cell. Come up here. Select data. Slide over here to the far or middle right. Select data validation. Select data validation again. In that first box it says allow list. Source is empty. Click that source arrow. What it's saying, it says where do you want me to look to create your list. I'm going to highlight this row. It's going to show up in my validation box. I'm going to hit enter. It's going to pop back up and I'm going to say okay. Look at there, arrow, list created. Bam, just like that. And that's it for creating your list. And here's the thing, you grab that box, you grab the bottom right corner, you drag it down. Now it exists all the way across the board. And you're ready to start selecting values and scouting whitetails. Alright, so you've got your list made. Now, how are you going to filter it? So this is where the money comes in. You select that top category. You're going to click it. You're going to slide up here all the way. Oh, make sure the home tab is selected. Slide all the way to the right. Open up sort and filter and select filter. Now see the arrows disappeared. It's because I turned it off. So I'm going to click it again. Home tab, sort and filter, filter. Boom, it's back on. Now here's my list over here. This is where I've created all of my content information for these categories. Now check it out. I want to review the key times that I got HD last year. Boom. Look at all these nighttime pictures. And he started becoming more active in daylight at the end of October. October 18th, nighttime, 3 o'clock in the morning. Post front, not a strong front, it was cool. Wind was out of the north, moon was at 75%. He approached from the west. Right in here, in these 3 days, he was coming from the west. Later in the year, he moved from the east. This is when I started catching him in daylight. Once he started moving from the east, I moved the camera later in the year because I was just discovering him. And let's see, we'll open up this here. Bam. And check him out. Hanging out there, huge national forest buck. Now I've got a bead on him, right? Alright, let's pop our sheet back open here. Alright. So, now we need to go over real quick how to add these images because there's a specific way to do it. And some tips about Excel, guys, is that color your rows. That way when you track them from left to right, they're easy to stay on. So when you're going to add these photos, you're going to add them to this specific cell. So you're going to click the cell. You're going to go up to the top left and hit insert. You're going to go all the way to the right and select object. Then you select create from file. You click the browse. You select your picture. Click OK. And there it goes. It pops up. You resize it and you just slide it over the cell. Now look, here's the most important part. What you have to do once it's in that cell is you right click it. You go to format object. You go to the properties and you select the first button that says move and size with cells. You select that, click OK. Now here's what that does. I'm going to take this one out. So here's what that does. When you filter, if you don't make it follow the cell, I'm going to filter HD again. Those pictures will follow the cell. Now, I didn't select, there was a ton more pictures down here, but they're all gone because they weren't part of the filter. But they did follow. If you don't select it, they'll just be hanging down here in the blank page still. Now, The other key behind that is if you enter the object, you can add a picture like this one. You can go to Insert, you can select Pictures, browse your folder, select the picture, and it'll populate it just like this. But sometimes it gets blurry. But you can minimize it, you can stick it in that cell, and you can do the same thing. You can right click, you can format it, click Move with Cell, and it'll stay there. But that doesn't really work like that because it gets blurry. And here's the other thing. You don't want to add, you don't want to click the cell and insert a link to the picture, because you have to be signed in to the device that holds the original file for it to pop up. So you want to enter the object. This picture, this image is embedded on this worksheet. So it's going to follow you everywhere you go, even if you send it to somebody. So keys to creating this: design your categories, create your drop-down list, implement your filter, and start working at it. You can take this away. I'm going to look just at these locations for last year, and then from there I can filter it down more, and you will recognize so much going on. This becomes an awesome way to scout, awesome way to collect your information at the end of the year. I can tell you right now, you won't regret it, and it's going to be super cool to sit down and review all this information. You're going to learn so much about these animals doing it this way. Guys, if you want help creating this worksheet, reach out to me at thehonedhunters@gmail.com, and I will send you a copy of this file. I'll just take the information off of it. You'll have all the formatting, and you can begin to work on it and practice with it on your own. If you want to set it up a little different, reach out and I'll help you do that. So, but the key is that this is such a cool way to do it. And, you know, hey, buy a product, you get to learn a little bit about Excel. It's not as bad as you think, right? I just showed you a couple tips. Next thing you know, you're doing data entry and all kinds of stuff, right? So, guys, if you want to see more videos like this, if you want me to expand, I have other Excel sheets that have trend charts. Oh my gosh, all kinds of cool stuff. So, guys, if you like this video, it seemed like it added some value to you, just hit that like button. Bang that bell and subscribe. Stick with us for more hunting videos coming up, guys. More fishing videos. Scouting season's about to kick off. So thanks for hanging out with us this evening. I hope you enjoyed it.
Alright guys, welcome back out to the tree. We're back up, getting ready to finish up some practice here, take some shots from the tree, change some angles up. I'm usually got a couple of buddies here, and we put a Glendale buck on a swivel out there, and we take turns changing the angles, changing those shots up. But guys, I want to hear your feedback on what you think about what you just saw with the program and the information and the gathering the data like that. I really hope you enjoyed it. I think it's become so valuable for me over the past couple of years that I've been doing it, and it's so cool to look back and see the trend, correlate all of that movement to the time of year, to the types of bucks and the does, to see what they're doing. So guys, thank you for spending your valuable time with me here today. I can't tell you how cool it is to be here with you and how much I appreciate it. So I got a limb in my way over here, so I'm not sure how this shot's gonna go, but we gotta practice, right? I had a feeling that might be that way, so we're trying to keep it realistic. And I may have to wait for that limb to swing out of the way. Woo! I think I stuck that one. That was not an easy shot getting around that limb. That's the way it goes. Well guys, thank you for your time, and we'll see you on the next one.